On everyone, I hope you're well and great on this Monday. Glad to see it, love to see it. Checking in from the mountains in France. I'm also in the mountains these next 2 weeks, so we're probably going to be doing some lighter summer sessions, making sure that we stay with our pulse on the market and on the right side across markets. We had a lot of repositioning, closing Ethereum positions back in this morning, closing out on IBIT, spot Bitcoin ETF, closing out FNGU. We're going to cover all of that, make sure that we stay on the right side and correctly allocated. And at the same time, we're going to be looking at what's going on in the markets, even through these lighter hearted summer sessions over here, because we are seeing right now, obviously, markets bouncing off of the sell off from Thursday and Friday of last week. We just want to make sure we have our wits about us. Take a look at whether or not this is actually a recovery on an overreaction, or if this is potentially even a bounce that sets up further downside pressure. Let's take and start off with Bitcoin here today, everyone. And we could see that, first of all, we had our first breakdown, sell impulse occurring. This is like the oh no. Oh no. One thing is off. We can't have it off over here. We got to bring it up. I need the pointer. Again, we're all the way, we're up. Let me go to Ed Secoda over here. And you're looking at the P&L of Ed Secoda from 1990 to the year 2000. And notice that P&L, and notice how while it is up and to the right, most of the time it's actually sideways in consolidation. In order to conquer the markets, you need to have the mindset that is going to enable you to be able to have that discipline to execute your plan and not just get caught up on the day to day. Let me go ahead and just one more thing. I'm almost there. And then finally, we're back. Oh, we're back. We're almost back. All right, whatever. We're just going to go with it. Entering ghost mode, bringing it up. Thanks for your patience. We need the scribbler, the scribble scrabbler over here. We noticed that the first of all, what's paramount over here is the yellow line. That is the breakout. Jordan, what kind of breakout is that, right? Obviously, we were watching from up over here. We had the breakout. Then we went ahead on that breakout, and we said, what would be the earliest signs that potentially that we were giving back, like that we were breaking down, that this is nothing more ultimately than a liquidity grab, and we're going to see further downside pressure as well as degree of drawdown as well as time. And you can see that so far we're still above the yellow line. We took the yellow line from up over here. We said there's further support in this area, and then we brought it down to ultimately over here. And we said we want to hold that line. That's number one. Let me just get back to where we had it. Number two, we drew in this bolded red line, and we said we would like even better. We want to make sure that we hold this line over here. And then I talked about how it's very variable, and I talked about all the further support that you could find on these little zigzags. Like, I mean, clearly as day, that is support down over here. And perhaps that's even better. It's nice and confluence with the yellow line over there. But I want to be early, always, not late, because by the time you get to where we have a serious breakdown from the top, and a serious breakdown would be below this line over here, 15% drawdown. If we were, you could see the resistance over here flipped into support and then retested. We ultimately want to hold this line, and if we were to break that line, then I'm preparing myself mentally. Why I don't think that it's not a de-risk event for myself. It's not coming back to November of 2021, 53,140. That wasn't supposed to happen. De-risk, take profits off of trades. It's not like that. But nevertheless, my expectations would be, as we move into what is an unfavorable time of the year. I just want to jump back over here to the NASDAQ over here, and you see that obviously we've had a sharp bounce. Nasdaq up 1.7%. Yesterday, Sunday, while the markets, traditional markets, were closed, you could see that Ethereum was really, really keying off. Bitcoin, all of crypto was green. And this was a hint, this was a signal that most likely you were going to see risk on as far as equity markets once they opened as well. That was the case. It carried overnight, and into New York, it's been extending as the US public markets opened up. And it's so far quite a bounce, right? It looks like basically we're just simply back to where we were at the beginning of last week. But volatility could beget volatility. We are seeing volatility in so much as that obviously Thursday and Friday, they were pretty big moves. Today's another big move. I'm not convinced one way or another. I'm watching obviously the seasonalities. Seasonalities still obviously we tried to prepare ourselves ahead of time, and it's just not the best time of year. We want to have let's say subdued expectations. I saw a headline over here. This is an interesting one, and it's about Japan and Japan's prime minister. I'm looking for it, and I guess it's not over here. And what they were talking about, there we go, says it's a win-win trade deal with US, may be hard to implement. And it made me think, is this whole trade saga over with? Or is it just beginning? That's one of the unknowns that remain over the markets. It's one that Powell uses to say or express why they have not yet begun to cut. We'll have to figure that out. Is and for again, just that lead in overnight was that signal from the, I'm trying to see what you're looking. This is so aggressive. Look how clean though. Well, aggressive and clean, right? I mean, it doesn't get any cleaner than that. But I mean, that type of sharp slope is it's very aggressive. For me, it was all about watching what crypto was doing over the weekend, specifically on Sunday, hinting that Friday's move was a little bit overdone. Sure enough, we've seen so far equity markets have been bouncing back above back above 21 EMA. So maybe it's a save and a butte. For me, I suppose that, well, we definitely overshot on the downside. I feel like we've overshot a little bit on the upside, and we're probably more neutral. And that's the stance I have right now. Our positioning has actually been really nice throughout this. Let me just finish up here with Bitcoin. I'm not trying to get into any disperseness today. That's a 15% drawdown from the high if we come into that all-important line. I know this line is red, and that's because this is the line in front of us. If we break this line, then we have, obviously, we're still above the breakout, or what I've identified as the breakout with you all last week. But I am seeing a breakdown, and right now we're coming into a retest. Let me just jump over to gold with you really quick because it's giving a pattern that is similar in so much as here we had a sell impulse, a trend line break. You saw a breakdown, a retest, and a resumption. And then we gave the invalidation point if it gets back above the trend line. Closing over here now above the trend line, and gold is neutral. And it's so continues and remains so overbought. Again, I've never seen, even when you go to these other periods where it was so overbought, it never remained overbought for this long. And since April, May, June, now we're into August, it has remained overbought. And for me, it's a sign of the significance of the trend. But I do believe and continue to look for that pullback. Maybe it's going to be a pullback that never transpires. But in coming neutral now, I'm not looking here for a position to dollar cost average into gold. I am still waiting and seeing that RSI if it ever gets the chance to pull back. And right now, all I could say is we're back to neutral. The buy side here is positions being held, not looking to add new ones, and we'll just have to wait and line up. I'm just on the sidelines as far as next opportunity, not looking here to resume any long sides, to add to any positions up all the way up over here. But at the same time, I don't see any and what would we be looking for a breakdown at this point? Would it be maybe you could see that horizontal over here, that resistance in April and then being tested a couple of times. It's confirmed as support. I'm on hold. I'm an observer right now. I'm just watching and waiting. But what I wanted to point out to you as far as what's happening on Bitcoin, I was looking earlier to see, and that's a pretty good look actually. I'm going to have to keep that line in there as I remove this one now. And what I want you to see is if Bitcoin gets above that broken sell impulse line that it's in a retest for right now, that would say to me, okay, well, Bitcoin is now neutral. However, unlike gold, I am, and for sure we'll be looking for further upside on Bitcoin over here, especially off of the next leg up, the breakdown. It was consolidating very nicely on trade fies, risk off Thursday and Friday. We've seen Bitcoin obviously following suit. And I'm just watching over here breakdown, retest. I would like to see us get neutral. And then at that point, it opens up the opportunity for further upside. Right now, I remain mildly cautious in so much as if we break down over here, if we take out that bounce into our red line, which was that lucky or was that just well placed? Honestly, I have no idea. It's very variable in here, and we talked about it together as we did it. Uh, and again, even still, and as time goes on, I feel like I get luckier a lot more often. But at the same time, um, yeah, I guess I attribute it to luck a lot more. So I don't know. Make of that what you will. CTM summer sessions beginning right now. So breakdown, retest. I would like to see us get neutral and invalidate that breakdown. That would be a positive development. If that's happening, be leaning in to see where we might potentially be looking to go long. Let me just jump over here. So some nice navigation that continues. It wouldn't be far. We would be actually pretty close from what I see. ST2 is currently keeping us out, a little bit of protection. But if we make that upside break, I think that potentially over here, and I'm looking from a discretionary standpoint, is it going to be something like that? I don't know. We'll continue monitoring and watch it. Right now, we have that breakdown, retest. We're seeing if we get neutral or if we have a resumption. A resumption, the last stand is the yellow line. Below the yellow line, I think that there's a strong and significant chance that we are coming into what I do believe is a very important level to hold. Nothing wrong with a 15% pullback. If we were to take out this line of support, at that point, I think that we're coming back towards a test of likely at least 100,000 on Bitcoin. I do not believe that it is a de-risk event in so much as that I just believe that we are well within seasonalities, I should say, through September, and we'll just continue. Now, I guess what I mean by that is that does not signal to me in any way, shape, or form that the cycle has come to an end. I remain very strong in my belief that was very early, given that the cycle high will be a lot closer to 2008 than the 2024 halving. Yes, a lot could happen in between, and it's why I gave those goalposts. That's why we navigate together and we pay attention to what is taking place with the macro, as you all know, could obviously change very rapidly. And we have to be able to pivot with it. We can't just have these ideas and hope that they wound up playing out as such. Why? Let me just briefly look back over at the NASDAQ. And yeah, so we gave the purple line, which was what we'd be looking for early summer two mover breakdown. We're still well above the most recent breakout. It's hard not to be bullish, but I am still a little I'm a little let's say cautious whether or not this is actually a recovery taking place or this is nothing more than a dead cat bounce. So this line, does that remain where it is? I just want to take a little quick view with you, move that up to where we just kind of bottomed out. And, is that, no, we'll continue giving it room. I think I'm wrong on that. And I think that likely the smarter thing to do would be to move that up over here. Nevertheless, if we were to see today, I mean, today looks like it is solidly risk on bullish recovery day. That's what it looks like. If we were to see a big wick occur later in the day, and then take out the low, that to me would be a sign that this was nothing more than a bounce. It's being faded, and I would be looking for follow through on the downside. Aside from that, I'm just an observer. I'm watching. I'm not looking. The bullish upside, in my opinion, was already to be had. Like it was as Asia opened yesterday, overnight, and then into the strong movement into New York to take profits on that. And whether or not you're still holding, if you're in a position like that, that's well played. But I think that the majority of the move likely has happened, and I'm more of an observer. And I have to say that the best thing about the situation today is, being up in the mountains, taking the family for a couple of weeks into the mountains to get close and enjoy that nature and the beauty of God and his creation and spend some nice family time. I gave a theme for the family. I was like, all right, pretend that this is like a retreat, right? And it's love one another and trying to get the kids to make sure that they're putting each other first and just trying to ingrain that. And I was like, I'm the leader. I'm going to lead by example and watch how much I show that to you to your mother. And I want you to do that to each other. So we have a little bit of a retreat going on, and to be able to manage positions during this time is wonderful, in so much as that, let's start off with equities, then we'll get into Ethereum, flip-flopping, right? Cardano, lots of, even on the short side briefly, we'll look at all of that together. And let's go ahead, and we are looking over at, our open positions. So T-Triple-Q was getting close on Friday to potentially coming into an exit, and it would have been fine. We looked at it on Friday and we said, okay, well, it's locking in somewhere likely around 20%, a little below our average winning trade, but still a nice little wave. And now we have a nice bounce, and you can see the gap over here. Interesting. Like, again, I'm still overly cautious. Am I overly cautious? I think I'm healthy cautious, right? If we get to continue riding these trades, average trade on T-Triple-Q is 28%. We're right, anyway, nice bounce though. And look, I feel like I'm on the right side. Same thing with Nvidia as well. Nvidia was also had a little bit more space. T-Triple-Q would have been the next domino to fall to lock in some profit. And now both of these are continue holding over here. So I feel like, in this kind of uncertainty, hedged well, continuing to ride. We'll see what happens. We saw that not only did IBIT spot ETF take a very small profit, 4%, but at the same time, it's entering long over here, pending. So at the close of today, this will be confirmed, and then the entry tomorrow morning on the open. We saw also FNGU take a small loss, right? 3%. So basically a wash between these two. This is like, the diversification. Like I believe in being highly concentrated, and we are. We have Bitcoin/crypto and selected tech. And the selected tech, whether it's FNGU, which is leverage FANG, T-Triple-Q, which is leverage tech, right? NASDAQ, we've really focused ourselves and concentrated ourselves well, but nevertheless, through our templates, we still have that diversification going on, and wherever momentum is strongest, we get to ride that. These two together are basically, we're just a wash. Continue pushing the ones that are going well, and then we have obviously MicroStrategy with that very small break even, small gain, on its last trade, just out of the market, safe and protected. And Tesla's kind of just like doing Tesla things right now. And does that look like Riot to you? Riot never triggered discretionary, but that's our launch pattern that's developing. You could see it, the lower low into the move up, and this is just setting up the on ramp. We've looked at that pattern a lot lately. It's interesting. It's been taking place across markets and different time frames. Whether or not it was MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy is a great example. MicroStrategy. I'll take a look at this with you. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Let's just jump in over here. So you got the first move up, bigger consolidation, taking out the low, the move up, the launch pad, and failure to launch. However, finding support you know? And let me just, from a discretionary standpoint, take a look at MicroStrategy. And as Bitcoin does, likely MicroStrategy will do. IBIT getting ready, IBIT feeling it. If we could easily get further upside over here in continuation if we're able to break up at the same time. You could see, and we talked about Bitcoin breaking down, retest. If it has a resumption down, if it takes out the levels we just described, and it's coming down towards 100K, you could see MicroStrategy is going to be under pressure, taking out that support that I'm highlighting right over here. I mean, 1 hour, in my opinion, needs to be automated. Otherwise, and I know many people have done it manually. You're locked in though, 8 hours a day, a little bit tough. Tesla on the short side over here, on the 1 hour. Currently, I guess Tesla is still holding open positions, but giving back some profit today. And so that was equity markets. And then we have Bitcoin and crypto. And again, it feels great to be a manager of positions and exiting the FNGU trade, small loss, exiting the IBIT, small gain, and just continuing to hold and let momentum do its thing on NVIDIA and TQQQ. Bitcoin bull runs still holding in the market here, suggesting that further upside momentum can continue. And then we have our positioning, and we saw that Ethereum is back into the market. Let's cover Ethereum first. Ethereum exited the trade. You can see over here, and giving back as it always does. 52% unrealized gains, locking in just below 35%, and then momentum kicking back up. It's back into the market. Cardano having a tougher time. By the way, this was our discretionary exit on Cardano, and look how much better that would have been. Nevertheless, we are system traders over here, and Cardano locking in a lot less than we would have liked to see, but Cardano is the same. Bitcoin is very quick to lock in profits. Ethereum and Cardano, they give the trade room to run. And then you could see that Cardano had to enter on the short side and then exit that trade, and is now neutral over here. Just waiting on the CTM filter, and it could be on the long side very quickly once again. Solana also is kind of interesting in so much as that this was our discretionary exit, and you could see that mechanical discretionary exiting at the same point, and very well played as the further downside took place on Solana. Doggy Nation, CTM dashboard, vibe coding. We love it, brother. Thank you for doing this. It is absolutely just makes it so much easier to follow. Really appreciate it. All right. Short and sweet today. Mountain sessions. But this is what I wanted to cover with you. I wanted to cover specifically what was going on from a discretionary standpoint with Bitcoin and watching. I'd love to see it get neutral. Right now we're on breakdown right into the area that very, very good TA. Maybe we got lucky into the resistance. We'll see whether or not we could get neutral here and then look for that further upside. Watch IBIT pending long. Depends what happens. And watch out for, the other thing to watch out for, of course, is are we able to hold these gains? or do we give them back today or tomorrow? On the calendar, we have to take a look at what's going on this week after an exciting last week, to say the least, between non-farm payrolls and the Fed, and it's a very, very, very light calendar ahead. All right, everyone, thanks for being here. Short and sweet with I hope just perfectly on point. So cautiousness. My mind is always going to, where are we cautious? Let me just go ahead and just point out, first of all, we are seeing reverse repo here. It looks like it's on its way out, and we know that this month we're seeing the Treasury, putting up substantial amount of offerings as they're looking to refill the TGA back towards the $850 billion level. And in my opinion, that puts a little bit of strain out on liquidity during a time of year, which is just simply not the best. Something to be aware of. We've looked at the past two times we have seen the Treasury go to refill the Treasury general account. And you have over here in 2022, and you have over here in 2023. This saw a substantial pullback in risk, but that was also the Fed beginning their tightening cycle. The war just broke out. And over here, this was like a 14% correction, you know? And, not to say that that's what's going to happen, but look, we want to have healthy expectations about what's in front of us. There are times to get frothy and there are times to not. We continue to see here 10-year bid. Interesting. Dollar given back a lot of its gains. Let me just jump over to the dollar. Find the dollar somewhere with you. And so what I'm looking at is this was first like buy impulse, for me sell impulse, and then for me getting back over here long. Ace was like, then that's a breakout and a retest. And sure enough, it was. And now, since then, we've had an extension out and are now below that line. So let me try to get a clearer look about where I am. And I'm not like, is that a breakdown? Could be. It could be. But I do feel like, and first look at my mouse on the left. You could see, first of all, support. Then around June 15th, that becomes resistance. 19th, 21st, that's again support. It's very fuzzy as you move towards July, but that's the area we're in right now. I'm just an observer. I'm still positioned on the long side, and I just have to figure out where that becomes a big error. And I don't like that sharp angle of this, right? Maybe I do. This is a lot of room. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at as far as what would be a breakdown. Clone that up. Clone up the pink one. Let me come back to the pink one. All right. Let's observe them both. I like what you did there. I love our sessions, Ace, when all of us together are just, doing that type of CTM vibe TA. Absolutely. I mean, the things that we uncover, absolutely beautiful. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that so much. You have a great time as well. Okay. I thought you were up in the old forge. You were just there. Look at that background of that image too. You got the mountain, beautiful mountains right behind you. It does. That's what that's why I'm giving the caution. Ace, we'll continue to monitor this. I like the one touch that you did with a clone, bringing it over off the bottom. I have to off these two touches, and that's all. Like that's my breakdown angle right there as well. So we'll watch that together. And you don't have to know, by the way. And the more comfortable you are when you don't know, just being like, oh, I'm not sure here. That that's a sign of strength, friends. That means you know what's going on. Be comfortable in the unknown. All right. And then just jump back over here and I mean, look, we're at the highs of the session. There's no doubt we got a risk on rally today. However, you know, I'm cautious. That's all it is. I would be like, and if we do take out the high, is that a sign of the strength of this market? I don't know. I can't make that conclusion right now. I would be very surprised, but the recovery today is substantial. It's noteworthy. So because of that, and for me it was like that was a layup. Like watching Sunday's crypto movement, the sign of the risk on. However, now it's not, and now it's more along line. We're like, that's a breakdown. You're into resistance. Looks okay. Very cautious up here. I don't see an edge really, and I'm just waiting. And the one thing I could say is, if this is faded, that's a mega sign of weakness, and that offers up opportunity. Otherwise, I have to wait for something to develop. Bless you. Thank you, Chio, for that. And anyone today right now, thanks for the shorter session. On the way out today, please do hit the like button. Replay crew, big shout out, lots of love, everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow. God bless you.